Okay, while we're waiting, please make sure your mic is turned off. As usual, if you have a question or something, just ask it in the chat box. We'll get back to it for sure as we go through the process tonight again. And tonight is all about making the right decisions for your life. That is quite an interesting subject because if I have to ask you, all of you on this call, have you ever made a decision in your life that you thought was 100% correct, and then like weeks, months, or years later, it was, a disaster? I'm sure if I ask you, most of you would probably say yes, that you've had a decision-making process or something that you did in the past, and when you made the decision, that decision wasn't the right one. It turned out to be a disaster or just the wrong one. Okay, so first of all, if you have made a decision, yep, Almari, have you ever made a wrong decision that you thought wasn't the right one? You did it anyway, but then it worked out well. Just yes or no in the chat box. Have you ever had a decision that you thought, well, maybe this wasn't such a good idea, but it turned out well in any case? Have you ever had an experience like that? Yes or no? Just in the chat box while I'm letting some more people in. Even just a thumbs up or thumbs down for the yes. Okay, yes. No, okay, good, Tracy, at least. It was always the wrong decision. Rudolph, yes. Olga, no. Oh, hi, Barbara. Tablet is Barbara. Thanks, Barbara. Okay, Elmarie, yes. Okay. Yolandi, no. All right, I can guarantee you, as we go along, there's going to be yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. Even on the side of the right decision that went wrong, for some people it went right, for some people it went horribly wrong. So the first thing to understand is I don't think or believe that anybody on this planet can make 100% prediction that they made the right decision for their life. Okay. Why? Because some things are very, very unpredictable. And even the psychics get it wrong. And the people who claim to be the most amazing psychics, they don't get everything right. So why would you burden yourself with so much guilt and feelings of failure and feelings of not good enough when a decision that you have made does not work out? Okay. If we talk about decisions for your life, how many of us are on the call at the moment? 18 people. Okay. All of you here, if I ask you, when you started life, who made your decisions for you? It is an interesting thought process because when you arrived on this planet as a baby, who made your decisions for you? I don't know, my parents. Yes. Okay. Your parents, for sure, they made your decisions for you, right? How much say did you have in them? Very little. Okay, when we grow up, what's the saying? Children should be seen and not heard. Okay. So we had very, very, very little decision-making capabilities when we grew up, especially concerning our own lives, what we want to do, what we want to wear, where we want to sleep, what we want to eat, all these things. So they have an impact on later life as you go through your decision-making process. Now, if I ask you, and you can just test this for yourself, how many times have you heard people say, what are you in the mood for? What would you like to eat? What are you in the mood for? Okay. If we use that wording, it means there's an emotional connotation to making decisions. What are you feeling in the mood for? What would you like to eat? What are you in the mood for wearing? Oh, we've got these moods and these feelings, and we frame the question that way. An emotional decision never ever works out very well. Okay, especially when it comes to life decisions. If we make life decisions based on emotions, the probability of it not working out quite well is quite large. Right? So we have a problem there with decision making. So this brings us to the first question that you have to ask yourself when you make a decision regarding your life. Is it an emotional decision? How do we know it's an emotional decision? Because you're making your decision based on feelings, right? What are you in the mood for? What does that make you feel? Oh, I want to buy a new car because it makes me feel better. Oh, I want to do shopping because it makes me feel this. Why did you buy this? It makes me feel better. That feeling and that decision that's made based on this is a temporary relief, but for life decisions and for your own life, that's going to lead to a disaster. No emotional feeling, decision-making process has ever been good for anybody. And on a subconscious level, we do that all the time. Okay. So if you have to decide when you get up in the morning, you have to decide what you want to wear, what you eat for breakfast, okay, which route you're going to take to work, maybe different one, do the same. Anything that you decide. How does that process work for you? What do you do? Very few people go into this question deep enough. So if you have to make an important decision, how do you decide what is important, what's less important? What do you prioritize? What don't you prioritize? What happens in your mind and what's the little voice in the process in the back of your head doing that? Because there is an internal dialogue regarding decisions, right? Otherwise, you will never know if you have to choose one or not. What if? Okay. What do I do if I chose the wrong relationship? What if I'm not in love with this person anymore? What happens if there's a third person? What happens if I die? What happens? All these questions surface. And then you are now in the position that you must make a decision. Okay, so the first one, the emotional decisions are actually important as a start, because how does this make you feel? If you ask something about your life and you go, okay, but wait a minute, say you decide you want to move. Should I move or should I not move? As a family, as a unit, whatever that is. What would be the option and the feelings if you don't make that decision? So go to the negative part first and negate the outcome of that decision first to see what happens. It's like, does it feel disappointing? Does it feel that it would have been nice? So if you go to the opposite side of the decision-making process and you say, what would happen if I don't make this decision first? Then you can take a step back away from the emotional thing. Whereas if what it would feel like, oh, it would feel like this, it would feel like this. If this happens, it would feel like this. If I move, it would give me a boost of confidence. It would give me a fresh start. It would give me whatever the reason is. Start with the opposite one and say, what would happen if this decision does not happen in my life or if it does not manifest? That will take the mind a step back and dissociate it a bit and go, okay, but then this is not an emotional decision because it's not happened in any case. What is the feeling that you have for that? And if we've been taught since a very young age that other people make decisions over our life choices, then we fall into a big trap. Okay, with parents, with family, with partners, sometimes they decide. Okay, and why do we do that? Because we get comfortable in controlling other people's decision-making processes. Right? Very few people on this planet, I would say very, very few, can make their own decisions and not feel guilty about them. Okay, unless you're totally dead as human. If you make a decision that hurts somebody or that hurts yourself, people feel guilty and they say I should have done better. I should have done this. That shouldn't be in your vocabulary. When you make a decision, whether it's a good one or a bad one, doesn't matter. The idea is once you have an informed decision, you stick with that decision. Doesn't matter what the outcome is, doesn't matter what the result's going to be. What that teaches you is that when you make a decision and you've weighed in all the options and you stick with that decision, no matter what the outcome is, you have the peace in knowing that you made the best possible decision for your life in that moment in time, and whatever happens in future is not up to you. We forget that there's a bigger picture playing in the background a lot of the times, whether it was decision making, whether it was whatever you do, there's a bigger picture. Things are not always, you don't see the connections and the bigger picture and the puzzles and. Okay. The collateral effects of a decision, you will never know. You might have done something that you thought was quite nice for somebody and that saved their life. You might have done something that you thought wasn't so bad to someone and that caused huge trauma. I see it a lot in my practice. The decisions that people make and how it affects other people, we never can tell completely because we don't know what's going on in a person's mind completely. So when you are making a decision for your life, base it on the first thing of the opposite. Step back and ask yourself, what will happen if this decision doesn't realize, if I don't get the new job, if I don't move, if I don't. Well, let's talk. I have a lot of relationship stuff coming up the last month. So if I don't leave my partner, if I don't leave my husband, if, go towards the negative side and see what the mind does with that and get the feedback in the body. Now, once you have the feedback in the body, if you make a decision regarding that feedback, you will at least have a better idea of what it's going to be, what its effect on you is going to be. Okay. And can you make decisions for other people? Yes or no? Do you decide what other people should and shouldn't do? We want to. It feels very nice and it is safe. No, you shouldn't do this. No, you shouldn't do that. Okay, but we cannot make decisions for other people. It's a very difficult process if we want to be in charge of other people's decisions. And why would we want to? If you ever ask yourself concerning relationships and concerning people in your immediate vicinity, why would you want to make decisions for them? It's to keep yourself safe. It's to maybe have a bit more control. It's to maybe have a safety net, but you cannot. Okay. So Barbara, you can only give advice from the outside. Yes. You can only give your observation and advice from the outside. Whether that person takes the advice or not is not up to you. Okay, it's not up to anyone else. It's up to you. Now, when it comes to your own life, when have you had the chance to go and sit at least 10 to 15 minutes a day and just ask questions surrounding you and your own life and your own scenario and just play with it on a piece of paper every single day? Okay, if you start doing that, then you're starting to learn your own handbook. This is your own, the body is your own handbook. It's your own rule book, your experiences, how you see things, your dislikes, your likes. Very few people sit and actually go and analyze and observe. Okay, they're not changing, just observing their point of view and their life and what it is about. If you don't do that and you start to make decisions based on that, then there's a bit of a problem. Okay. Yeah, somebody's mic is on. All right. So if you can sit still for 10 to 15 minutes a day and just become silent, when you become silent, you become aware of the mental chatter that's going on in your head. That mental chatter is busy, can do a lot of damage. Okay. It is amazing how that inner voice never keeps quiet. Why? Because your mind can only receive. The mind doesn't take away. Forget, yes, but from the moment you wake up, your senses receive, right? The eye see, the ears hear, the nose smells, mouth tastes and talks. But mostly the senses, the purpose of the senses is to receive. It adds more things. And now that mental chatter gets more feedback. Now, in all of this nonsense and all of this stress, you have to make decisions regarding your life. Sometimes you are forced to make decisions around in life because something can happen that's traumatic, something happens that's financially not viable. All these things jump at you. Now, sitting still for about 10 to 15 minutes a day and just observing the mental chatter, asking yourself questions about you, your life, your likes, your dislikes, that's not really for other people. It's only for yourself. People are so often I hear, I have to do this for my husband. I have to do this for my wife. I'm doing all this internal work for our relationship. I'm like, yeah, it's not really for either of those things or for any of those things. It's for yourself. Ram Dass made it the best. He actually said it the best. He said, there's nothing that you can do for me but work on yourself. And there's nothing I can do for you but work on myself. That means you are working on yourself, not for the other person, not for a relationship, not for this. It's for your own experience. Because out of the 20 people on this call, we all have different paths. There might be some overlap, might be some trauma, might be some things that happen, but you all have a different path, a different physical path, different emotional path, different spiritual path, whatever that is. But if you don't ask questions surrounding your own life, okay, and what it is that you are actually doing, what it is that you actually really want, what are the things that would give you a peaceful life? What are the things that will make your life miserable? Which environments? The type of food that you eat, the type of company that you keep. the type of things you watch, the type of things you absorb into your body. Very few people do that. And it's fascinating because if you can't even choose or decide the little things in life, when big things in life happen, it's like you haven't built up the resilience, and then it's very difficult to make decisions regarding your life. So take a moment, and the key thing to make decisions for your life cannot be the right decisions, because nobody, I guarantee you, I don't think anybody on this planet can 100% say that they've made the right decision, because we don't know what's going to happen in future. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't, like we saw in the beginning. Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. Okay, but what you can do is make decisions with peace. You have to find a certain amount of peace regarding the decisions that you make in your life. And how can you get that peace? By training acceptance. How do we train acceptance? By sticking with the decision that you have made. Okay. If halfway through a decision you go, yes, this was terrible, this was not a good idea, change that mindset and say, okay, well, I'm accepting the responsibility of this decision. I made it, I'm in it now, I will go through it, and then I'll learn the lesson. That allows the mind to actually take a step back and go, okay, next time I have to make a difficult decision, next time I have to make an important decision. Okay, if you're lucky enough to have time. For instance, if you're a paramedic, there's not a lot of time to have decision making when somebody's life is hanging in the balance. But most of the life decisions that people are encountering, they still have an amount of time to actually sit and discern between what the decision's outcomes can be. So if you have time, sit and ask yourself the question, is it emotional? How does it make me feel? Am I purely responding on this decision-making ability in my life with emotions, or is there reason behind it? Okay, can I reason out what would be the worst outcome? What would be the best outcome? What would be the effect on people around me? What would be the effect on me? You give your mind lots of information to process, but in a peaceful manner. Have you ever, yes or no, just for curiosity and interest sake, have you ever made a peaceful decision? A decision that you know, that you knew, just this decision I'm going to make, it is done. I have no emotional attachment to it. I just made the decision. Have you ever had such an experience and just made a decision like that? No, okay, and hasn't. Right? So if you sit in a position, or you had a decision that you made and you went, yes, I've got peace with this decision. No, too scared. Yeah, of course. Yolandi, yes, excellent. Okay. It's not an easy thing to do. But how do we do that? Olga, yes, I always make decisions based on research. Okay. It's also good to make decisions, but what type of decisions do you make based on research? Right? There are certain things that you decide. That's why I say you must be very careful to see and not categorize everything in white or black, and always make a decision based on research. Life decisions doesn't always require research. It requires the understanding of who you are, what you want, how to go about it. Depends on the situation. Yes, Julian, depends on the situation. So if you make decisions based on research, perfectly fine. You know, the flat earthers, the people that say the earth is flat, okay? Do I ever disagree with them? Or do I want to prove a point? Or I love it to see when people argue about these things, because whether or not the earth is flat or round, what in the hell does it make a difference in your daily life? If we all find out tomorrow, well, the earth is flat, what's it going to make the difference in our daily lives? Not a lot. I doubt it. So people have this idea because the mind likes to attach to these things, and they want to argue. And now we make the right or wrong decisions. It's like, what type of effect is it going to have on your life? Okay, and people can prove with research. They've done this and prove with research. They do this and they believe themselves. So sometimes, if you require a sixth sense, have you ever had a sixth sense feeling and it was accurate? Okay, do you even know what that is? How that happens when you make a decision? Yes? Okay, cool. So Barbara's had one. And it does exist. That sixth sense exists, Knowles. Yes. We've got a different sense that shows up and it gives us information, right? How do we use that thing? We need to understand how to communicate with the sixth sense part of you. That does not require research. That requires observation and awareness. It requires observing yourself in certain situations, awareness of what that little voice is telling you, and then the courage to act upon it. I don't know if you guys know Dr. John Demartini. He's not so active on social media anymore. I think he's retiring a bit, but he's probably still doing some of these things. He's one of the most famous human behavioral experts on the planet. And he said at one stage when he was a teenager, he was homeless. And in those days, it was still quite safe because the parents let him go off. He went to some other coastal city and he was decided, well, he couldn't. He was in school. They said he wouldn't amount to anything very much. If you look at him now, they were dead wrong. Okay, so if he believed them, he wouldn't have been where he was. But anyway, he said that he was in a situation where he saw three or four guys walking towards him, and he was carrying a surfboard, and he knew these guys were trouble. He just knew. Something told him that it was off. These guys were looking for trouble. They were not there to be nice. So his sixth sense was warning him. And then he had this idea to start barking like a dog. And he's like, what the hell? That's a bit weird. Because how the hell is he going to bark like a dog? That's good. They're going to kill him. And as he started walking and they came closer, he started barking like a dog. And they got such a fright that they didn't expect that reaction from him. He wasn't scared. He was barking like a dog. They thought he was crazy, so they left him. And he likes to tell that story. So that story just shows that sometimes it feels like you have to do a very awkward thing, or if you have to say a very awkward thing. But if your sixth sense is telling you to do that, and you feel the urge to do that, and say that, and share that, or be that, it takes courage to do that, right? But very, very often, if you do that, you'll understand why you took the action. So decision making takes action, right? Whether or not it's going to be right or wrong for you in the long term, you cannot tell, but you can make it with peace. If you apply the sixth sense strategy, if you take the emotions out of it, if you know yourself well and know your values well, that would make life decisions easier. Have you ever met people that seem like they make life decisions so easy? Doesn't matter if it's big or huge. Some people say, this is a huge decision for them. It's like, nah, just another Tuesday or another Wednesday decision. Okay. If you meet people like that, then you realize, okay, this might be a different way to approach life. Not everything is such a dramatic choice or decision that you have to make. Okay, Lisa, yes, me. Okay, you've met yourself. Yippee. Make these decisions. It's just another one. Okay, so please, you cannot ask. Funny, people have asked me in my practice, is this the right or the wrong decision? I don't do that. We see what the answers in your subconscious is, and we go according to those answers. I can observe what I see, and sometimes I can tell them this, but the body and the subconscious doesn't do that, and there's feedback, and it doesn't look like this is the right decision, but this is your decision. Okay, you cannot ask people if this is the right or wrong decision for you, because very often they don't even know what the right and wrong decisions are for themselves. Okay, for instance, this is a very interesting scenario, and it's a very relevant example. Someone in my circles smokes a lot. She's a constant smoker. But she changed her whole diet to a healthy diet because she wants to live a healthy life. She's preaching about health and wants to live a healthy life, but she's lighting up cigarette after cigarette after cigarette. And I was sitting there listening to this and observing. And she was very adamant that she's going to change her life and it's going to be healthier, but she didn't touch on the smoking. And I'm like, yeah, okay, interesting. So it is funny to start up to observe people, what they say and what their actions are. If your actions align with your words, you've done the best research like Barbara had done concerning a life choice, and your sixth sense is on board with it, then you have to go for it. Then you have to the courage to have to be honest. Because very often in my practice, I sit and I say, but this might be the honest thing to do with relationships. Just be honest in the relationship, and this is what you feel. Oh, I can't do that. I'm going to hurt the other person. I'm like, but you're already hurting the other person by lying to yourself and lying to them. Okay, there's no other ways around it. You're hurting both people in the long run. And your body knows it. Your body senses it. The sixth sense is there. The research is there. You've done the experiment. You know what this is. Why? Just be honest. And that's not easy because of the repercussions that will happen afterwards. Okay. So remember, nobody can tell you what the best decision for your life is or is not. Only you can do that. Very often we get bombarded with suggestions from family members, friends. Oh, but what would you do? But what would you do? That's good to have reference. But eventually, in the end, who's in charge of your decision making? Only you. Only you can make the step and make the decision and make the choice. Okay. But then people go too far and they think, I chose everything. I'm like, really? Hmm. I don't think so. You didn't choose. And the people that say they manifest everything, it's like, oh, we manifest everything. I'm in charge of everything. I'm this. Yeah, well, God complex. You're not in charge of everything. You didn't choose everything. This earth, this universe is massive. You decide you choose everything, everything, everything. No. A certain person might have come into your life for a certain reason. You didn't manifest that person. It's the universe playing its energetic pawn game with us, or chess game with us. We are all these pawns. But within the pawn structure, you can choose how you want to respond, decide how you want to go. Okay. For instance, if somebody's wronged you on a very, very deep level and they've hurt you, you can decide what to do. You couldn't have stopped them from hurting you. You couldn't have decided that they shouldn't hurt you, or made a choice that they don't hurt you, but now they've done it. What do you do? What do you decide is the next step? Do you ignore them? Do you confront them? Do you forgive them? Okay, there are all these questions, right? And that's a tricky one because if somebody's hurt you and betrayed you, do you allow them back in your space? Do you block them out? Do you give them a time to actually show that they can change? Do you rebuild trust? Those decisions nobody can make for you or whoever the other person is. You can only make it for yourself. And the easier it becomes to make those decisions, the easier it'll be. But you must know how you approach decision making, how you approach confrontation, what you do with uncomfortable situations. Okay, it's important to actually know yourself. And then it will be way easier. And then making decisions in your life, like me, apparently I don't listen very well. It's a theme. You don't listen to anybody. I'm like, sometimes yes, sometimes no. I just know what I feel and what the situation calls for. And then sometimes I listen to my body, sometimes I don't. And that's how we grow and learn. Okay. So please, decision making is not all that life or death. If it's not a life or death decision, which it very rarely is, take your time, sit with it, take 10 to 15 minutes alone, be alone with your thoughts, alone with your body, and bring total awareness to those 10, 15 minutes of this decision-making process. What would happen if this decision does not happen, if I don't make this decision? Start with that side first and then dissociate yourself a little bit from the outcome and then see what that does to your decision-making process. All right. Awesome. Half an hour went by quickly again. Are there any questions? If anybody has a question, please type in the chat box. I'll just keep a minute or two. Okay, while we wait, another thing to consider, your life. What is your life? People are like, it's my life, it's my life. Yes, but what is that? What does your life consist of? It's a good question to ask and answer yourself. Is your life the company you keep? Is your life the job you have? Is your life the friends you have? Is your life the food you eat? Is your life where you stay? Okay. What is your life? Because if you have to say, I have to make decisions regarding my life, go question what your life is. You actually are alive, right? All those things are just something that happens around you, for you, in your life. Okay, Lisa, we'll try to give it 15 minutes. Good luck. Because I know Lisa, but yeah, it'll be great. 15 minutes, not longer, 10 to 15 minutes. Just make it a short habit. I don't know. I struggle to keep to my discussions. I get bullied a lot. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Okay. If you struggle to keep to discussions and you get bullied a lot, this is what you're going to have to practice. Okay. Silence is a good one. Okay. Why would you like to defend something that you don't get need to defend from. And if somebody feels the need to bully you in a conversation, it says a lot about that person, but it also says a lot about you. How do you handle confrontation? What energy do you give out for you to get bullied around? Oh, decisions. Okay. So Adna, if you get bullied around decisions, again, if you are uncertain of a decision, imagine you have somebody that you follow as a leader, and that leader is confused when they make a decision. They say, oh, yes, no, that is, oh, no, oh, yeah, it's going to be a nightmare. Okay. So if you get bullied a lot regarding decision making, then a lot of the times people who want to manipulate will take offense surrounding your decision capabilities or what you decide. If they want to control a lot, if they want to bully you a lot, if they want to be in the art of manipulation or doing the art of manipulation on you and you make decisions, they will give resistance. Okay, so just watch out for that. It gave me a good idea to sit alone and take stock of my life and all the decorations I have made. Decorations or decisions? Well, probably decisions, not decorations. Okay. Yes, it is an amazing thing to just sit alone for 10 to 15 minutes, not doing something, just you, your thoughts, and a piece of paper. Not listening to music, not watching TV, not distractions, just you alone in silence and just a piece of paper and words and your thoughts. Okay, that's important. Vilma, always split into between decisions, battle to decide which way to go. Yep. Okay. And if you don't know which way to go between two decisions, right? There's a nice little trick you can do to get the urgency around it. Write your decisions down, okay, the options, and then give yourself 45 seconds to sit and look at them and choose one as the timer goes. And then give yourself 30 seconds and then give yourself 15 seconds. So make the timer shorter to decide, but do that like a couple of days in a row and then see which one you choose when there's an urgency towards the decision, because sometimes we get way too comfortable. Okay. Hope that makes sense. I don't know. That sounds about right. Thanks. Yes. Decisions. Yes, I thought so. I like the 15 minutes with self. We'll definitely try it. Yes, for sure. Okay. But then a lot of people say, how often should I do this? Well, start with minimum 3 times a week, not every day. Okay. Starting something new every day is hectic. Even if you don't do anything in those 15 minutes with your decision makings or with your writing, just sit there. Make sure the time is right and just sit for 15 minutes without anybody bothering you. Okay. And make that a habit. That will be interesting. And to see what you can come up with. Excellent. All right, guys. Thank you for joining me again this evening. If there are no other questions in the chat box, then we will be done for tonight. The first Sagacity Sundays for 2026. Wow, yeah, I believe the month is already almost over. So thank you for joining me. I hope it made sense. I hope it gave you a bit of clarity around decision making and bring you a bit more peace surrounding what you need to do. And if you have any questions, my number is on the group. I did not make the group a chat group specifically for a reason with so many people in there, because it will be a nightmare with everybody chat group. But you're welcome to send me messages via WhatsApp. I will answer, maybe not immediately, but I'll give you some feedback. Thank you all for joining. And then this recording, I'll edit and post on the group either Monday or Tuesday or somewhere. You'll see, I'll send a link to the group for those people who missed it, because they sometimes want to watch the recordings. Okay. May you have a brilliant evening, and may your decision-making process be a bit more peaceful in future. Thank you, guys. A good one. Cheers.